Barnstable Town Council meets tonight. Plans to create a legacy trail in downtown Hyannis move forward, and the Cape Cod Baseball League wants to boost its Main Street presence. On this episode of Barnstable Today, it's Thursday, April 5th, 2012. I'm Sarah Colvin. Barnstable Town Council meets this evening. The fiscal 13 capital improvement program is expected to take up the bulk of tonight's meeting. Councilors have dozens of capital improvement projects to examine. It's expected that public hearings and discussion on capital improvements pertaining to the Hyannis water system will be moved to the Council's April 26th meeting in order to allow for members of the Hyannis Water Board to be present. Aside from capital improvement projects, councilors will also discuss an appropriation order of about $150,000 that will purchase 6 new police cruisers. They'll also work to approve a $36,000 Cultural Council Adams grant, appropriate nearly $35,000 for new signage at the HYCC, and decide whether to appropriate funds to purchase burial equipment for the town cemeteries. Town Council meets tonight at 7 p.m. right here at Town Hall. You can also watch live on Channel 18. A trail to honor the legacy of the Kennedy family in Hyannis is in the works. The walking trail is planned for downtown Hyannis and will highlight many historical spots with informational signage. The town's growth management department has been hard at work planning this trail. Last night, the Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historical District heard details of the plan, specifically plans for signage to be placed within the historic district. Landscape architect Kate Kennan, representing the town, outlined details of that signage.
Each of the 8 signs marks a significant point on the Kennedy legacy. So, for example, one would be placed at the Hyannis Museum, the Kennedy Museum. One would be placed at the place where JFK gave his acceptance speech, which is right here at the Armory. And the idea is at these 9 sites, that's why this plan is important. So the signs, there's one at the JFK Museum, one at the corner of Main Street and Pearl Street, but right by the corner of the Sturgis School. One down on Pearl Street, one at the Francis Xavier Church, one in front of the Armory, and then at Azleton, and 2 on Bismore Park. And so the content is of what we're actually going to put on the signs is indicated in this brochure here. And on page 8 is the design of what the sign would look like, which is basically, it's a 12 by 14 inch. It's actually the sign specification from the National Park Service. So it's a vandal-proof fiberglass sign that would sit 24 inches off the ground at an angled, sort of an angled look like this. And then it just has one aluminum post, 3 inches by 3 inches, that goes down into the ground. And the best way to see what that's going to look like is on page 7 of the document. It shows exactly kind of what it would be proposed to look like, although the post on it would be black rather than the tan that's shown here. So they're produced by a company called Paneer, and like I mentioned, they're sort of the National Park Service's standard for a historic sign. Exactly. There is the only physical thing that is going to be in the environment that's a permanent fixture is the sign itself. Plus, we'd like to put 3 knockout roses and 3 seagrasses around the base of each sign, just so it's not just like mulch and icky around the base. We'll make each one of them sort of a standpoint. But in terms of, how the Freedom Trail with the trail actually has it painted, we're not going to be doing that on the pavement per se. If we do it's really just the only permanent piece is going to be the sign itself, and you'll be able to use a smartphone application and a brochure to pick up to know where the signs are along the path.
So there won't be planters, it's just right in the ground?
That's correct, yeah. It's going to be right in the ground. And most of them are they're all located on public right-of-way property, besides the Francis Xavier Church, where we're working with the pastor there to actually pick the location of where the sign would go. But the other 7 that are proposed in the historic district are in public rights-of-way. Content has been reviewed by the JFK Library in Boston, and they're actually providing the high-resolution images that are going to go on each. And there's also going to be on the sign, you can see there's like a little dial-up that you can get more information. And that is going to be content provided by the JFK Museum, like a recording of the actual speech from when JFK was down here doing the acceptance, that sort of thing.
The HHDC unanimously approved the signage, which could be in place as early as Memorial Day weekend. The Cape Cod Baseball League wants to increase its presence on Main Street. The Baseball League's Hall of Fame is located in the basement of the JFK Hyannis Museum. The CCBL is hoping to increase its signage outside the museum, as well as add a patio and seating to that area. That plan was before the HHDC as well last night.
If you look in your packet, what we're asking for is, we're in the basement right now with JFK. How many years have we done that? 4 years. So what we currently have now is we have a small board on the ladder sign that's out front of the JFK. So we've been working with the chamber, who's in charge of the JFK, for a few years, trying to come up with something we could put out there that did not interfere with the JFK Museum, yet at the same time gave some type of presence to people looking for something to do with baseball. It would be visible, and historically, you know, this is a historic museum. Try and bring that out onto Main Street. So what we've come up with is we'd like to do an 8 by 12, which is 96 square foot brick patio. The brick would match the color of the brick that's on the front of the veneer of the JFK now. We do have one inset that would sit in the patio that would replicate a home plate. We'd like to put 4 chairs there, which would be anchored in concrete into the ground, but they would be baseball replica historic seats, similar to what we have in the museum now. Plus a wooden replica bat, which would be real wood, made by, we hope, Barnstable bat, that we'd like to put a little sign on that's located exactly where we showed on the plan. So it's approximately 4 feet off of the sidewalk, and the seats that are out front of JFK right now, according to drawing, they're exactly where we show them. We're not touching any trees or removing any landscaping except for the lawn area.
Is the home plate to be sponsored? What's it?
Hopefully, yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
there would be signage within that.
Yep.
Permanent, or would it change?
Well, the
seasonally?
idea, no, the sponsor of the home plate will be permanent.
Okay.
We are trying to set this up if we ever move, that we could easily, as part of our condition with the chamber, that this not be set in cement. So this would be set in a bluestone dust, so that if we ever did move, that this patio would go with us without interfering with the patio they already have.
Mm-hmm.
The patio they have now is bluestone, so we're trying to get some delineation between our patio and theirs.
Mm-hmm.
So what we came up with is matching the brick that's on the front of their building.
Mm-hmm.
The sign, at this point, we put in there something that we'd like to ask for the sign, but we were kind of hoping to get your input into that as to color. We went through a lot of trouble to try and get the placement so it interfered with nobody else's, but we were kind of looking for a simulated wood, two-sided, that looked like wood grain. But the colors that we put on there, we'd like to replicate the logo of the Cape League.
We like wood.
You like Barnstable Bat Company? That's so great.
The board approved the patio and seating, but final tweaks to the signage plan must be made and brought back before the board once again. The HHDC will meet again on April 18th. Wednesday's meeting can be viewed in its entirety on the town's website at town.barnstable.ma.us. Well, it is tax time, and as the deadline for filing your income taxes approaches, it's also time to pay your Barnstable property taxes. Fourth quarter real estate and personal property taxes are due on the 1st of May. The town of Barnstable does make it easy for residents to pay taxes without having to travel to Town Hall. You can visit the town's website at town.barnstable.ma.us for more information on how to pay your taxes online. You can avoid costly interest and penalties by paying on time. If you got questions, call the town collector's office at 508-862-4052. With Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Colvin.